Welcome to Unity in Harlem. I'm Ann Jackson, thanking you for joining us for today's Sunday service. We will have the Reverend LeRoy Withers as our guest speaker. Marie Poncé will open our celebration with song. I will be back with announcements. Bob Poncé will lead us in the Unity in Harlem affirmation. Carol King will read today's daily word, which is power, for August 13th. Marie Poncé will sing another selection to prepare us for the meditation. Reverend LeRoy Withers will guide us through the meditation and give today's talk. Bob Poncé will provide us with a short musical interlude. We will then have prayer requests, tithes, and offerings. A final selection by Marie. Reverend LeRoy will lead us in the prayer of protection, and Marie will lead us in the peace song. So please sit back and enjoy. Thank you.
How amazing and powerful is our Creator. Indescribable. From the highest of heights to the depths of the sea, creation revealing your majesty. From the colors of fall to the fragrance of spring, every creature unique in the song that it sings, all exclaiming, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky, and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. All powerful, untamable, awestruck we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim, you are amazing, God. Who sees lightning bolts telling them where they should go? Sees heavenly storehouses laden with snow. Who imagined the sun and gave source to its light, yet conceals it to bring us the coolness of night. None can fathom, indescribable, uncontainable. You put the stars in the sky, and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. All powerful, untamable, awestruck we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim, you are amazing, God. Incomparable, unchangeable, you've seen the depths of my heart, and you love me the same. You are amazing, God. You are amazing, God. You are amazing, God. You are amazing, God. the depths of my heart. You've seen the depths of my heart. You love me. Unfathomable, untamable, unchangeable God. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. These are the announcements for today, August 13th, 2023. The Unity in Harlem Zoom connection, 698-428-2725, or by phone 929-205-6099, passcode 777-7777, can be used to join the fellowship immediately after today's Sunday service. There will be no study group this Tuesday, nor prayer circle this Friday. The Unity in Harlem Gospel Grant for August can be found on the Unity in Harlem Facebook page. Anyone wanting to speak with the minister about a personal matter, feel free to call 481-1844. Next Sunday, we will have Reverend LeRoy Martin visiting from Detroit as our guest speaker. Next Sunday, also, we will be meeting at Riverbank State Park, the Fritos Restaurant, at 1 p.m. There will not be no Zoom fellowship immediately after the service. So please come and join us at the Fritos. Bring your lunch, or you can order a delicious lunch right there at the restaurant. You cross Riverside Drive and you proceed along the ramp, and the Fritos is on the right side. See that beautiful view of the George Washington Bridge. So come, let us meet, greet, and eat together next Sunday. This ends the announcements for today. Thank you.
Isaiah 55 verse 11 says, "So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it." Unity affirmations speak to the power of our words, and particularly the power of I am. And so we say this affirmation every Sunday to affirm our divine nature. The words are on the screen, and I invite you to say them with me. I am an abundant, radiating center of God's love and light for peace, healing, and inner truth for all.
Good morning. This is the Daily Word for Sunday, August 13th, 2023. Excitement. I am an active participant in this exciting life. Each new day, the sun rises on a world full of wonders. From the magnificence of the natural world to the many fascinating things there are to learn, and the many displays of creativity that surround it. I can find so much to capture my interest and kindle my excitement. When I shrink from life, when my interest in exploration wanes, I can lose my zeal and passion. My involvement is the key. To regain my excitement, I become an active participant in life. I break out of comfortable habits and routines. I try new things and meet new people. If this is intimidating, I remind myself God is everywhere and in everyone. As I explore, I am opening myself to more and more. As my interest grows, a bigger world awaits me. Psalms 156 says, let everything that breathes praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Heather. Awesome. Perfect. Oh, it's Carol. Oops. Sorry. We're live. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassion, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join in all nature with manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, mercy, and love. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth. Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine and 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I've seen. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Thank you. Thank
We pray
you.
that God reveals to us our true identity, that you may know who you truly are, that you may waken to the truth in you and know that heaven is restored to you. And now with your eyes closed, knowing you needn't go anywhere, you needn't do anything. God is as close to you now as God will ever be. For God is in your mind as you are in His. Here in this holy place is the strength you have been hiding and from which you have been hiding. Here in this holy place is the power which you have been hiding and from which you have been hiding. Here in this holy place is the intelligence which you have been hiding and from which you have been hiding. Here in this holy place is the purity which you have been hiding and from which you have been hiding. Here in this holy place is the forgiveness of others which you have been denying, but which on this night you are ready to grant. Here in this holy place is the self-confidence you have never claimed, but which on this night you are ready to claim. Here in this holy place is the faith in God which you have often avoided, but which on this night you realize is your power. Here in this holy place is your eternal self, which you have long denied, but which on this night you are ready to perceive. Willingly and consciously, you place in the hands of God the toys of childhood you are ready to play with no longer. You have played that you were small. You have played that you were unintelligent. You have played that you were better than others. You have played that you were worse than others. You have played that you were too wounded to make things happen. You have played that you were all alone. You have played that you were unlovable. You have played that you were sick. You have played that you knew better. You have played with arrogance. You have played with false humility. And on this night, you play no longer. And now within your mind's eye, in whatever image it appears to you, an angel perhaps, some being of light, Jesus, or any other image, puts out their hand to you and offers to guide you now into the space of your true identity, where you were weak, you shall now be strong. Where you were lost in shame and guilt, you have now atoned for your mistakes, and God Himself shall undo their consequences. Where you have held on to blame and victimization, you now forgive the ones who hurt you. Where you cowered in fear, you now stand forth in courage and in love. Where you were good, you shall now be great. Where you made plans, you now pray that God make God's plans for you. Where you served yourself alone, you shall now serve the world itself. Where you played like you were a girl, you shall now be a woman. Where you acted like a boy, you shall now be a man. Where your eyes sought out the wrong in people, your eyes shall now seek the good in people. And in your presence, they shall become more good. You shall salute the strength in people, and in your presence, they shall become more strong. You will bless people, and in your presence, they will feel blessed. For on this night, you surrender to God your life to use for God's purposes, that here within the illusion of the world, you shall stand for an alternative, thus casting a light that shall dissolve all darkness, speaking with wisdom that cuts through ignorance, standing forth with power that empowers the weak. For such is the power of God in you, that such glory shall be yours. Hear what God is saying to you. Feel God's hand upon you. Allow him to heal your heart. Allow him to heal your body. Hear him remind you who you are. For there is so much to do. To send our goodwill to everyone joined with us, knowing that having been touched by the hand of God, we shall not be who we were. With gratitude and with praise, together we say, Amen.
Good morning, and welcome to Unity in Harlem service today. It truly is a pleasure to be here today with you guys and gals, and also affording me the opportunity to share with you some of the thoughts that I have, to share with you my love for you, and just being here is a tremendous thing. I want to take time out to thank Ann for her introduction and the announcement, Marie for her voice in speaking God's words, as well as Bob for his tech work, and Carol for reading the daily word. I thank you so much. Today's talk will be the 8th challenge, or as you know, the 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal. Now, I've changed the word from commandment to challenge because I believe it's more of a challenge. The commandments that God had given us was more of a challenge, challenging us to do God's will. Now, when we look at the face value of thou shalt not steal, you would think that it referred to taking somebody else's property or stealing somebody else's property. However, in my mind, and as a true student, there are many ways to steal in life besides going into a store and taking something without paying, or robbing somebody's home, or sticking up someone in the streets with a gun. There are other ways of stealing someone's life. Rashi, a sage in the 11th century in France, described the 8th commandment as a warning against stealing someone's freedom. Oftentimes we see this at jobs. Supervisors who breathe down your neck who is extremely controlling or treat you like a servant. a possessive lover or husband who is demanding and controlling, overbearing parents who refuses to let a grown child make their own decisions. Now, other scholars suggest that the eighth commandment or challenge is a warning against deception and manipulation. Rabbi Ishmael of the 2nd century indicated the worst kind of theft is someone who uses deception to steal the good opinion of people, to win someone's gratitude or regard through deceit is a form of thievery. Before I go any further, again, we're looking at that eighth challenge, thou shalt not steal, not from a surface point, but we go much deeper. There's a much deeper meaning to that. First, let me remind you, we are all children of God, made in God's image. God is love, therefore we're also love. Love is the spiritual catalyst that shapes our feelings of compassion, forgiveness, gratefulness towards others and ourselves, which are the building blocks of our integrity and our values. In short, our self-worth and our self-respect. I'm quoting these words. The word integrity comes from the Latin word integris, which means to be whole or complete. In Hebrew, the word for wholeness and completeness is shalom, which also means peace between people and peace within oneself. In Arabic, the word is salam. Whatever your spiritual tradition calls this sense of wholeness and peace, it is the goal of most spiritual people like ourselves. The eighth challenge directs us to this inner peace. Most people discover in their adult years that integrity and the highest values are often always not easy to maintain. At work, in relationships, in other stressful situations, it can be extremely difficult to live up to our good intentions. As I mentioned, at work, oftentimes what we do is we may try to cut corners to get something done. Doing it in a way to get it done in expedient time, as opposed to taking our time and doing it in the right way. Oftentimes we gossip about individuals at work. We try to bring them down by spreading false rumors about them. Because of one reason or another, we just don't like them. Sometimes in relationships, a partner could be demanding and dominating as well as manipulative to get you to do what they want you to do. Some rabbis and ministers and priests and scholars suggest stealing someone's self-worth is to be rude to someone. treat any human being in a demeaning way, or even to fail to respond to a greeting is a theft of a person's self-respect. Interrupting someone's in conversation, especially if that person needs to be heard and understood. Often we say, because of our impatience, come on, get to the point. Get to the point. So there are ways, other than just taking someone's property, that we can take someone's self-respect, someone's self-worth. Again, let me remind you, we're all children of God, made in God's image. God is love, therefore we are also love, as I say. Therefore, all of our behavior towards ourselves and towards others should be in a loving way, filled with compassion, filled with forgiveness, filled with all the things that make up love and creates harmony. This to me is something that we need to work on an everyday basis. I'm reminded of the fact that the talk today was inspired by an incident that happened with an individual, two individuals, in fact, in the on the team that I'm on. One individual had indicated that one of our members was stalking her. And this had a negative impact on that individual she was accusing of stalking. It crushed his self-respect. He was concerned how people looked at him because of this accusation. Quite naturally, we dealt with it. And it turned out the accusations were false. Even though we dealt with it and we realized it was false, this individual still felt pain. He felt that his reputation was tarnished. So it's very, very important that we understand that we have to be careful in what we say about other people. And more important, what we say about ourselves. Oftentimes, we rob our own self. We steal from our own self. And I say that because oftentimes we listen to what people say about us. And we digest that. Particularly the negative things I'm more concerned about. That we digest that. And we feed on that. Forgetting that we're a child of God. And God doesn't make junk. Forgetting that we are people of love or individual love, forgetting that we're compassionate individuals, we're caring individuals, we're forgiving individuals. But sometimes we allow a person's negative ideas about us affect our lives, affect the directions that we go. I can remember a story that this motivational speaker was sharing, that he was in special ed, and oftentimes as a teacher, I recognize that students who are in special ed oftentimes use that to get away from doing things that they can do, but they choose not to for whatever reason, it being lazy or getting over or whatever it may be. But this motivational speaker had shared that he was a special ed, and he had went to meet his friend in the auditorium because his friend was practicing or rehearsing for a play. So when he got there, his friend wasn't there. But the director asked him if he could step in. And he was shocked. He was scared. And he said to the director, but I'm special ed. Meaning that to him that he was unable to do this. His director told him, don't let someone's opinion of you be your reality. Thus saying that folks that have opinion of you that are negative is not who you really are. You listen to those individuals that see in you that you don't see in yourself. See those positive things in you that you don't see in yourself. As a teacher, I don't see my students from where they are, but where they could be. And I understand that they're a child of God. We often go through things like that. I often go through things where folks see in me what I don't see in myself. I had planned on going into ministry years ago, before I actually got into it. And I had a few mentors, Jane and Mavis, who I consider my spiritual mentors. And even before I thought about going into ministry, they had strongly suggested that I do this. And it took a while before I actually got into it. You know, sometimes we feel we may not be qualified. That was a feeling that I had. But these individuals impressed upon me, this is God's will. That you become a minister. Oftentimes, We question God's will. Am I qualified? I know Moses did. When God appointed him as the leader to lead the Jews out of Jerusalem. I'm sorry, to lead the Jews out of bondage, Egypt. He said, God, I'm not qualified. I just stutter. I'm just not qualified. See, he didn't understand as well as I didn't understand. God doesn't find the qualified. God finds the unqualified and qualifies them. Then something happens in individuals' careers that points them in that direction that folks have been advocating for them, supporting them to go in that direction. And there's folks that work against you, you know. I've had folks say, you always said you were going into ministry. But it happened. I did finish it. And I'm happy that I did. It's almost like I've had people say to me, Lee, you were a minister all the time. You were a preacher all the time. You just got the credentials now. I remember when I was teaching up at the College of New Rochelle, my AKA name was the preacher. Did you register for the preacher's class? Because if you don't, you won't be able to get in. All the seats might be taken. And there were times that I had to have an extra class because folks got into my class. So I was called a preacher. And little did I know, eventually, that's exactly what I'll be doing. I have the credentials behind me. So some of the things that I'm suggesting now is that move out the box. Listen to God carefully. And listening to God is listening to individuals who God is speaking through, that is giving you advice around your career, around who you really are. And all the good that you can do, not only for other people, but yourself. It's a beautiful feeling to have individuals like that around you. Again, we have to be conscious in terms of how we interact with people. And come into mind the 8th challenge, thou shalt not steal. Am I helping this person or am I stealing from this person? Now I ask you, these are ways, and I invite you to use these particular ways in determining or maintaining your integrity, even in a difficult situation. Now I'm reading from a book. Number one, integrity principle number one. Take time to make conscious decisions. When you're faced with a tough dilemma, don't settle for a quick solution that hurts you or hurts someone else. Take some extra time and ask for assistance to see if there is another alternative that will combine much better what you need and what you will avoid, and will avoid hurting other people. You know, oftentimes when I'm in a conflict with an individual, a verbal conflict, and it's during those particular times that I'm not listening to you, you're not listening to me, and I'm just sprouting out words, and you're just sprouting out words as well. You tight and I'm tight. You mad and I'm mad. So we're really not listening to each other. Oftentimes, I back away from that situation and I just listen to what the individual is saying. And oftentimes, it's in anger, it's from a hurtful place. And I may revisit this same individual or revisit the same topic 2 days later. When that person is calmed down and I'm calmed down. I believe at that point we are listening to each other. I'm listening to what you have to say. And you're listening to what I have to say. The flow is smoother. God's flow is smooth, harmonious, and caring and forgiving. Oftentimes I used to hear this statement, don't get in God's way. And sometimes we hear statements and it sounds good, but sometimes we really don't understand what it is, but it sounds good. Yeah, don't get in God's way. Don't get in God's flow. And it wasn't until I got an idea of what that really meant. And it was very simple. Because we live in a simple world filled with complicated people. We complicate things. But when you get in God's way or you upset the flow, God's flow is when you get upset. When you get angry. When you're revengeful. When you allow all these demons to interfere with God's flow. So oftentimes, like the state, we often have to sit back, and I've done this many times, enough times. Even with teaching, you know, I'm coming to the classroom, you know, students aren't acting appropriate, and I go off, you you guys are not behaving, and this and that and this and that. The next day I go in the classroom, and I let them know I apologize because they don't deserve to be yelled at or spoken to in a disrespectful manner. I often say I don't apologize for what I said, but I certainly apologize for the way I said it, because you don't deserve that. I've been in relationships where we got into a verbal confrontation and I've had to go back and a couple of days later and apologize for my behavior. And let's open up this conversation so we can come to a better understanding. Integrity principle number 2. Confront your own bad habits. Confront your own habits of being sneaky, deceptive, and insensitive. Now, again, we're talking about how we can maintain our integrity. In other words, be honest with yourself. They say if two or more people say something about you, then there must be something in it. I've been approached at times and folks have said, well, you don't let me finish my thought. And I make a conscientious effort to let folks finish their thought. Because there are times you think when they're pausing, that's it. And then often I would just go ahead and speak. But now I ask, have you finished your thought? Have you finished what you had to say? I've often said that I'm only biased to the truth. That's what directs me. I try not to be deceptive. I try not to manipulate someone to feel the same way about a situation, the same way that I feel. I've learned to agree. I've learned to understand there's no right or wrong. You have your perception and I have my perception. And it might be different. That doesn't make yours wrong. It doesn't make mine wrong. It's almost like a relationship. If it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that this person is bad and that person is bad. You know, it just didn't work. And you wish the best for that person in life. Because you want the best for yourself in life. Essentially, you want to treat people the way you want to be treated. And being insensitive to a person's situation. Oftentimes, you can put yourself in that person's situation. Walk in that person's moccasin. Sometimes when people pass a person that's in the street that's homeless and hair matted, hasn't taken a bath, feet black, all that. We look down at them often. And I say to you, and I challenge you to put yourself in that person's situation. Put yourself in that situation. How would you want people to respond to you when you're in your darkest hours? See? And then your perception may change. And oftentimes when your perception changes, your behavior changes. I want to include in this as well that oftentimes we blame other people for what we're going through. Even though we're justified. If you had a parent that wasn't good, or you had a boss that treated you bad, but you allow that to dictate your behavior. You allow that to put you in the slump. You allow that to give you a low self-esteem. You allow that to break down your confidence. You allow that to happen. And if you feel in your heart, or you feel that, hey, if I can only change them, I'll change. Let me strongly suggest something to you today. You can't change people, places, or things, but you can change yourself. You can't change a mistake, but you can change yourself. You can't change the truth, but you can change yourself. If you go around continually blaming other people for what you're going through, you're going to keep going through it because you can't change them. You can only accept how they are and go forward and move on. Now, I want you to think about your own behavior at work, in relationships, in family conflicts, or raising children. And notice which of the following situations and tendencies challenges you. Do you tend to get impatient and interruptive? Do you sometimes cut corners or take what you need from a situation and lie to cover up what you've done, and lie to cover up what you've done? Let me read that again. Do you sometimes cut corners or take what you need from a situation and lie to cover up what you've done? Are you sometimes rude or cold to people, especially those who perceive as below your status or intelligence? Do you ever get aggravated or misrepresent your credentials or your contribution to projects in order to impress people? Do you occasionally find yourself doing things you know are unkind, immoral, or illegal in business because you haven't been able or willing to develop better options? Do you ever feel as though you are faking it or doing whatever will get people to like you? Do you sometimes become controlling, possessive, or restrictive of someone, even though he or she would probably act responsibly given a little more slack? Do you sometimes take advantage of people's innocence, niceness, or trust? People often say people take kindness for weakness. And I want to point out, when we are kind to people and we don't get the response that we would like, don't beat up on ourselves. Well, and that person took advantage of me and I was very kind to that person. They just took advantage of me. I remember my son sharing with me about the person he was seeing at the time. And it appeared that he was doing a lot for her. But he felt she wasn't responding in a way he would like her to respond. And he felt stupid. He felt like he was being used. And I reminded him, anytime that you give from the heart, never feel that you've been taken advantage of because you gave from the heart. Never feel that you're being used because you gave from the heart. You may not get the response that you want. That's okay, but you gave from your heart. And that's what's important. Now, my goal in asking you to look at, to understand these questions is not to make you feel guilty, but rather to help you see where you are, where in your life you need to make careful efforts to bring your behavior in line with your values and integrity. Integrity principle number 3. Anticipate when doing the right thing may be unpopular. If your boss is unethical and you refuse his or her mandates to behave in the same style, you're going to have a problem. So, in these kinds of situations, there are suggestions in terms of how to resolve it. To protect yourself in practical ways in situations in which your honesty and integrity may disrupt your life, family, and career, find out who else in your company behaves ethically. Try to cultivate enough allies who will back you up if you're mistreated for your decency. Document in writing whenever your proper behavior is criticized, mocked, or impeded by someone else's. Take time each day to pray, to meditate, or read inspiring writings that will support your inner strength no matter how lonely or isolated you get. Find or start a support group of people who share the same principles and commitment to acting with compassion. We do that with Unity, with the study group, where people come together with the same principles and compassion. And the fourth principle of integrity: share a portion of what you have with people who have less. Oftentimes I do things, if I see someone that's homeless or in the street, oftentimes I take time out to speak to that person, let them know, remind them that God loves them. And oftentimes I buy them something because they're hungry. And I don't necessarily wait for the government to do things. I may not be able to feed 100 people, but I can feed one. Which helps to lessen the list of people that are in hunger. And sometimes I just pray that everyone who is able to do that takes that time to do it. And if everyone would, it would lessen the hunger, at least in this country. I can remember my mother sharing with me in reference to my great-grandmother, rather, that lived in Harlem. When Harlem was flourishing, there was less homelessness, if you saw it. Because she reminded me that my great-grandmother would give folks clothes during that time when she lived in Harlem. And this was the mentality that most folks had. I need to remind you that during that time, there wasn't much about foster care going on. Because somebody in your family would pick up your child if you couldn't handle it, rather than put it in foster care. These are the ways folks would help each other during that time. I remember my uncle, my great uncle, would tell me how his mother, which is my great grandmother, would give away a new suit that he might have brought. You know, she didn't make any noise because she understood. They were coming from the deep south, and they came in, I mean, with nothing. So they knew how it felt to be out there and have nothing. So share a portion of your health, of your wealth with someone. It may not just be advice. Someone's looking for direction. Take time out to do this. No, it's not always in monies. Now, in closing, I explained to you earlier that the definition of integrity is wholeness, completeness. And that wholeness is loving and being lovable. And in order to have that, one must have the ability to be compassionate, to be forgiving, to be understanding, to be merciful. Those qualities that God has given us even before birth, because we were light before we were light. We were light before we were being. And in closing, I would just like to say, living with greater integrity and wholeness is a goal that many people feel is out of reach or no longer relevant in these competitive times. But as these examples and guidelines from the Eighth Commandment illustrate, it is extremely rewarding when you find a way to be moral and compassionate in situations where previously you were oblivious and numb to. Living with integrity is one more way to awaken the sparks of light within your soul and to feel a greater sense of spiritual richness. So therefore, my friends, I invite you to live a life of integrity and wholeness as you walk on this planet Earth. Let your light shine. And so it is. And thank you. Hello, Bob. I think now I lead you in the prayer of protection. As of now, I'm glad Bob brushed this up. But with prayer requests and love offerings, if anyone has any prayer requests, this is now to put it in your mind and bring it forward to us in your mind. And also, this is a time for love offering and giving as well. So as you think about individuals that you want to pray for, see them whole and complete, see them free of all medical challenges or mental challenges, free of all stress situations. See them as a child of God. See them as whole and complete. And as far as our love offerings, I invite you to repeat the words on the screen as I read them to you. You repeat them as I say, or say it along with me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. Amen.
Wow, Reverend LeRoy Weathers, you are preaching this morning. Goodness gracious, so much to think about, so much to apply. Those questions, whoa. Is there a test at the end? Amazing. Thank you so much this morning. Wow. Here I am. Lord, guide me, fill me, take me, lead me by your will. Here I am, Lord, use me, guide me, fill me, take me, lead me by your will. Here I am, Lord, ready to follow, to serve you, to love you, to be you in this world. Thy will is done through me this day. 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 Lord, you call, I answer. I'm open, I listen. I hear you, feel you moving me. Lord, I come closer, humbled, surrendered, lifted, committed to your plan. Thy will is done through me this day. Thy will is done through me this day. this day. Here I am, Lord, I come. Here I am, Lord, I'm here, I come to you. I come in the fullness of me, as you see, thy will is done to me this day. Blessed assurance. Wow. Thank you, LeRoy Weathers. Amazing. What in the world? Marching orders. Haven't we gotten them? Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will lead you in a prayer of protection. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The presence of God protects us. The power of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
A little bit of water. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Wow, so many questions, but I guess we'll get them answered on the Zoom, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, LeRoy.
It's my pleasure.
Especially for the questions that came after them. Whoa. And those references. Amazing. Just, you have a great way of balancing the thought with the other way of thinking about it. And then you say the other way, and then you go the other way. And in between, you get so much knowledge and truth. It's just amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess we can get started with the peace song, right? Or unless do you have something else that you want to add to what you're saying?
No, I wonder who that guy is that they got in the corner there. It says me, but it don't look like. I want to kid.
Well, I think it looks pretty great. and I agree. Yeah, you should have been a preacher all your life. You stepped into it. Hello. Great.
Okay.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.